I'm Adrienne Enns, and I welcome you to the Intention Sessions podcast. I want to inspire our most intentional living. In each episode, we'll talk to remarkable individuals who will share their authentic journeys and their insights with us. They're going to remind us that life's complexities can be our greatest teachers, and that intentional living can be expressed in an infinite number of ways. I hope you find some inspiration for your most intentional life right here. Today on the podcast, we have Madeleine Marentette. Madeleine is the founder and CEO of Grail Springs Retreat Center for Wellbeing. It's Canada's leading holistic wellness destination in Bancroft, Ontario. She's a best-selling author, metaphysician, educator, soul coach, and healer. She continues to illuminate the path for individuals seeking personal transformation and life fulfillment. For over 25 years, Madeleine has dedicated herself to the study and processes of the human soul energy connection. This awareness, she feels, is relevant more than ever in today's changing and challenging world. A dedicated life of service to people, planet, and our sacred animal kingdom has her working relentlessly, taking action, co-creating with others, and hosting wellness retreat programs at Grail Springs. Madeleine holds a series of lectures and retreats throughout the year, both at Grail Springs and abroad. She is presently working on her next book on the human condition as it relates to the sacred and the evolutionary track of soul consciousness and destiny. Madeleine's work also includes a guidance system for the 4 seasons of manifesting. And that's why I wanted to have her back on today. If you listened to the first podcast episode several months ago, we referred to this. And so we want to take this opportunity to, not only reflect on 2020, but really use this system to look ahead to 2021. So I want you, if you haven't already, to go grab your journal or a piece of paper and a pen, because there are going to be prompts and assignments, and this is really going to help you lay out your path forward. So Madeleine, I welcome you back. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Adrienne. Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be back and really looking forward to today's sharing. It's a very special time, and I'm not referring to COVID. I'm referring to this particular time of the year. And so once we get started, we'll be talking about the full circle. We're going to go around, take a trip around the calendar, and it'll all start to make sense what we're talking about.
This system has made a big difference for me. So I'm really looking forward to you sharing it. It's a lot of material, so we're just going to dive in. But do you want to, just start at the beginning of, how you created this and the practical applications, like why people should be paying attention to this and following this?
Okay. So that's a big question, the why. And I'm going, because we only have an hour, and we're going to try and do an entire year's workshop, like in 1 hour. So you're getting the mini version, but the good news is this is an intuitive process, and that's how it started for me. Nobody taught me this. I was simply a seeker through life. I was a busy, type A personality, female, moving forward in life, and also feeling the pressures of trying to do and compact so much into a life, and feeling like while you're doing that and your career is moving forward and you're happy in those areas of your life, all of a sudden you turn around one day, 1 year, and you discover that your relationships have suffered, or you haven't saved enough money, or you really haven't traveled in 7 or 8 years, and your dreams are they're not coming true the way you had thought. And I think right now, I'm hearing this a lot. And I heard Stevie Nicks, who, anyone who's my age loves her as much as I did. We all grew up with her. There was something said the other day on the radio. She said, I really feel like this year what's happened is time has caught up with her. Right? So I know you've spoken to a lot of people in the last few months with your podcast and because of who you are in your coaching, myself included. And the underlying, I guess, sadness for a lot of people, and there's a lot of beauty. We've been talking about that and a lot of creativity that people are experiencing and innovation and all kinds of wonderful things. But there is underlying it this pressure about time. And, she articulated in that way where like the gap, you feel like a gap is closing a little bit. And you feel, I've missed out on maybe some of the dreams that I had hoped for and the visions that I had for 2020. When we ended your podcast, we were right in the middle of it. I believe it was April or May.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure I was the end message of the last podcast was, because it was coming to me too, like, don't stop dreaming.
That's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah. Don't allow yourself to stop dreaming. And so, of course, when we reopened in July, and I was involved in a lot of retreats and discussions with people who were obviously coming out of their hibernation, and that was the theme. That was the theme in every conversation, and it was such a relief. Oh yeah, this is going to end, right? This too will come to an end one day, hopefully soon, once the vaccine comes out and we've gotten through this winter. And that's my message today, too, is don't stop dreaming. And so what I'd like to do is take everyone for a trip around what I call the Wheel of Dreams. You will need a pen and paper. There will be some instructions for things to do. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to be something I hope that you commit yourself to over the next week or two, to continue into this process and start asking yourself some of these questions, so that on December 31st, Adrienne knows this, there's a beautiful ceremony that I would ask you to do for yourself. It takes 15 minutes. That comes as a result of all of the work we're going to do today, all the questioning and the journaling that you're going to do over the next month or so. So, shall I begin?
Yes, I'm just going to add a quick endorsement of it. It's just that I learned it a few years ago now. And, as you're listening, like if it's brand new to you or you're very familiar, you can't do it wrong. And if you only have some time to spend some time. But the more time you spend, the more you get out of it. And the ritual for New Year's Eve, and then to refer back to this throughout the year, is very, very valuable for your most intentional living. So I love it. And I thank you for sharing it. And yeah, let's just dive in.
So eventually you do want to go out maybe this week and buy yourself a beautiful manifesting journal. And this journal becomes a dedicated tribute to your dreams, your life, and it becomes a manual that you'll be able to look at every single day and move forward. You want to buy yourself a calendar, a beautiful 2021 calendar. We did this at the last workshop. Everybody brought a calendar and it was so helpful. And I'll tell you how to use the calendar. So without going into the whole background story, this took me many, many years of just intuitive living beside the forest, living in nature, learning from Indigenous people, teaching, becoming a coach, understanding metaphysics. This is really about how we as human beings, or I should say souls in human form here on this earth, and our connections, when they become conscious about our relationship between from the cosmos to our solar system, to this planet Earth, to your neighborhood, to your own inner circle, family and friends, and how nature plays a part in our moods, our attitudes, and it's so unconscious that oftentimes people don't notice it until there's a heightened moment impact, either by weather change that's good or weather change that's bad. That's difficult to get through. And so people don't necessarily become aware of this constant environment that we're living in until there is something extreme that is happening in their life and around them. Over time, the same thing was happening with me living on the edge of the forest, but I started to become awakened to the changes of the season like never before, and to such small increments, beginning to understand the patterns of the animals, the mosses, the mushrooms, the fungi, to the trees, which can seem very obvious, but there's so many other subtleties that are happening. And most people will say, yeah, I have friends who have, they have mood swings, and they go into these dark periods of their moods and depression because of weather, winter, etc. But what I want to move beyond that, it's much bigger than that. And it can, once you become aware of it, it can add to your life in such a powerful way. If you are someone who does want to live an intentional life, intentional years, intentional weeks, intentional days, intentional hours. That's me. I think that's you too, Adrienne.
Yes.
It's a life, it's a state of mind that it just becomes you to be very aware and purposeful in all of your choices in life. So this can be a very revelatory, it is an intuitive process, but it is also practical. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the intuitive. I'm just going to assume all your listeners are super intuitive people.
I think they are.
And you will start to realize, wow, like I'm already I've got the feeling of this already. I already am in the groove of this super manifesting process. I think I'm already doing some of it. Yes, you probably are. What this is going to do is catapult you to the next level, because it does become intentional living process that you will never want to miss again the rest of your life. And so the first thing I would like everyone to think about and do an exercise on, not on this call, but when you have time, maybe tonight or on the weekend, you can sit with a cup of tea for an hour. I would like everybody to first start here. Reassess your life, where you are now, and ask yourself, what are your top 10 core values? So it sounds pretty elementary, and it is, but it's also I can't stress enough, when you start to reconnect with your core values, you will realize that maybe some of your core values have actually changed since you were 21 years old, or 35 or 42, or whatever age you're at. There has been progress in your life, and there's some things that you used to value that there are other things that are more important to you now. And I say that because oftentimes we change jobs, we change companies because they've gone through a core value change, new management, new owners, and there's something not quite fitting for you anymore, and so you leave. That's because usually people separate because core values are not matching, and that goes down to siblings arguments, to parents fighting with teenagers, to friends no longer being friends, to couples breaking up, etc., etc. We come together because we love each other's core values, because we can relate to them. So core values would be simple things. And I'm sure everybody's already thinking, yeah, I appreciate loyalty. I appreciate honesty, accountability, health and well-being, self-care. I'm sure that wasn't on any of our lists of core values when we were 21 years old. That's why I just want to make that comparison. Things do change. 7 or 8 years ago, planet Earth and being green, becoming more, footprint friendly became part of my core values. And that also then was reflected in my company's core values. So I would start with your core values. Try and get that done within the next week. And then we begin to start into the November process. So it's a year-long calendar, and each month there's something to be considered. This happens to be the perfect month for your call, for your listeners to be on this call, because it is the end. We're coming to the end of the year. It's the month, November is the month of accountability. So if you will just want to write, we're going to go 1 to 12, November, accountability, number 1. This is an opportunity for you to sit in reflection once you've done your core values and just ask yourself, how have you, what have you accomplished? What are some of the good things that were accomplished by you this year? And, give yourself some credit. It's been a difficult year. Of course, many of our dreams, our trips to Europe and abroad have been put on hold. However, I'm sure through your isolation time, this may have brought you some really beautiful things. Perhaps you started an old hobby, maybe you finished a project, maybe you sold your house and moved into the country. I'm hearing all kinds of wonderful stories of unexpected changes in people's life that was a positive change. So I want you to focus on the positive changes that happened for you up to this time. And then once you have that accountability, really give yourself credit for all of the things that you see on that list. Give yourself, some recognition for how you handled it. Now, when you're doing that, of course, things are going to come up that are going to show you, yeah, there was some things that I didn't handle so well. Make a small note of that, footnote, okay? And we'll come back to that. What are some of the things that you could have done differently? But I don't want people to get really hard on themselves. I want them to celebrate the beautiful things that they did accomplish. But we're also we're not hiding our heads in the sands by not recognizing, yeah, there were some things that I probably could have handled better. Maybe better if I had recognized that what I was fighting with was a conflict of core values. And I bet all of the things that you had conflicts with this year had something to do with a core value. Something was misaligned in our life. And I'm not specifically talking about the isolation and the challenges we've all had to face. I'm talking about your dreams and your visions for yourself. What got a little sidetracked because of an action or a non-action on behalf of your own behavior or decisions. So I'm racing through this. Adrienne, we could spend a whole day just talking about accountability.
Yes. But no, I think that's a great place for people to start. And the way you described it is just beautiful.
And it's often a step that people want to skip.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's as important as the visioning. It's as important. You have to know where you're at to know where you're going.
I absolutely agree. When I teach people about intentional living, it's the exact same thing. We're taking action, but unless we reflect, just like what you said, like what went great, what went not so great, it's just really noticing that and then taking the next step.
Yeah, just be real with it. Have courage just to take a look and be real with whatever comes up, and just make it a side note. And because once I have found once I've identified and gotten down to the root, I have this great aha moment. And then I immediately commit, like, I'm never doing that again. Right? I'm never going to
Exactly.
I don't need that lesson again. It's a positive outcome. You've learned something. You've become wiser for it. So the process of enlightenment, I'll just throw this in, is this. Number one, you have to recognize something as a truth. That's called a revelation. So revelations sometimes just stop right there. It's up to us to go to the next step. The next evolution of revelation is self-realization. It's taking that revelation, processing it within ourselves, and then the outcome is that revelation is mine. I have realized that revelation. So a lot of people will have revelations, but they don't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it slips to the side for 10 years, and then it comes up again. So it's processing it so it becomes yours forever. And once it's yours, it is yours forever. And your patterns and behaviors will change because of it. And then what happens after that? You become self-realized. Your whole behavior, the way you talk, the way you process the decisions you make changes who you attract into your life. And the next thing you know, your life just becomes more in flow with who you are and what you really want and how you perceive life. And then it moves into levels of, enlightenment simply means like, I don't have to do that again. Right? I'm a lot smarter
Yeah.
than I was yesterday. To me, I'm more enlightened today than I was yesterday.
Yeah,
Enlightenment
day by day.
yeah, it's not a end destination. It's like, it's a state of mind. I want to be more enlightened today than I was yesterday. That's it.
Exactly.
So it's a process. Enlightenment is a process in it. Now, back to the calendar. So
Back
on
to
your
the
November,
calendar.
on your 21, you can start 2020, put on your last few months of 2020. You can put at the top of November, accountability. December, we move into vision. So now I want you to actually draw a circle on a big page in your journal, and you're going to divide it up into 4 quadrants: spring, summer, autumn, winter. So your spring will be on your top right, your summer will be on your bottom right, autumn bottom left, and winter top left. And this is what we're going to call the circle of life. And it is recognized on medicine as a medicine wheel all over the world. And we're going to use it today. So November sits in the autumn. It's right on the cusp of autumn, winter, of course. So winter in the top quadrant. So right now we're in the 3rd quadrant. We're about to enter into the 4th in real time today as we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a time for accountability, but I also recognize I am moving into visioning stages, and I'm already getting those hits intuitively as the person I am today. I don't have to necessarily look at a calendar. It becomes an awareness of this astral, solar, astrological movement that's happening around me as I'm being affected by the weather and the light in the sky. It's causing me to move more within myself. And so spring is often related to one of the 4 bodies of selves called the mental self. Spring is physical self. Autumn is considered the emotional self, the heart self, and winter, the spiritual self. So what's happening to us in these months of October and November in the US? We are celebrating Thanksgiving. We are giving gratitude and thankfulness for things that we've achieved. We are accounting for all of the beauty and the abundance that has come into our life. And what happens in December? What do we want to do with our abundance? We want to give it away. We want to buy gifts. We want to shower our friends with gifts and our family with gifts. And we want to give donations to our favorite charities. We want to help, maybe we want to volunteer in the food line. We start to feel the gift of giving. And yes, it's on our Canadian calendar. And yes, it's on our American calendars. But this is an intuitive thing. With or without calendars, we are moving our spiritual self. We're starting to, or I should say, our physical self is starting to become less enlivened. If I can use that term, I'm trying to put a picture in everyone's mind here. And our spiritual self, our spiritual body is becoming more enlivened, more engaged. And so in the Druid and the Celtic traditions and Mayans and all over the world, these are moments of acceptance of going within, and it's okay to turn off the Facebook and the Instagram if it existed back then.
Yes.
It was a time for family, for coming off the mountain, for bringing the sheep home, doing an accounting, preparing the wool and the beeswax and the candles, and then going into town for a big festival, and we all do this big market trade. These were real events that would happen late October, especially in the European regions. So Northern Hemisphere, just think of the Northern Hemisphere. So it would be opposite times for our Southern Hemisphere fellow men. So when we're in when all that is done and accounted for, and we've given everything away that we had access of, and we've done our trades, we're supposed to sit and embrace our our own time to press pause and to embrace self-reflection. So self-reflection is often in our society related to self-development, and yes, it is true. But it's almost like we treat it like an exercise, Adrian. Wouldn't you agree? Like
Hmm.
it's like, oh, you have to go and do this if you want to self-develop, rather than this is a natural process that is supposed to happen. There's a gift in the time of year where nature will support this event, where all things, not just humans, the animals, the plants, everything starts to withdraw onto itself to preserve its
Yes.
energy, to conserve its energy. The lakes even freeze up. Turtles bury themselves into the mud. I mean, it just, everything begins this hibernation process, except humans. We resist. And so, as a type A personality, which I think most women are, we just
Yes.
resist. And we think, no, why would we stop? I'm energetic. I feel good. I'm just going to go, and I can, you know, spin circles around my friends and my partners, and I'm just going to keep going and get this project done. And so what happens as a wellness coach here at Grail Springs, I see a lot of adrenal fatigue, huge in women. Like it's a chronic problem that we have in our
I
society.
see it too.
Yeah, and often I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of your listeners know what I'm talking about themselves personally. They feel it
And
in their
seeing,
life.
yes, his energy output as being productive as opposed to what you're describing, also conserving energy as being, equally, if not more productive.
Well, and it's part of the process. If you want to adopt
Yes.
this process, you have to adopt, and I don't want to say the word succumb, but you have to surrender what you think is right way of being and doing as a human being in this world, and see this as a spiritual reward. It's a spiritual upliftment. It's it's feeding the spiritual self, the fourth body of self, which we should be doing every day. And there's a way, and that's why I said this is really a 12-month workshop. But I want everyone, I think you're going to be able to get the idea that there is a time and a place for everything. And that's something we ignore in our society. It's a time and place, anything, anytime, everywhere at once.
Yeah.
It's a whole different, it's a modern day thought to be in
Yeah.
doing.
And the word that's just coming to mind for me as I hear you describing this, that I want the listeners to remember too, is, with this ebb and flow of nature and following these natural cycles, this is also a sustainable way of living. Go, 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 go is just, as we all know, not sustainable. It catches up with you sooner or later.
Exactly. And so if you're lucky enough to discover this by the time you're 21 or 28, wow, you're way ahead of billions of other people who don't know this, who don't have access to these types of conversations, who have not worked with indigenous people or been able to travel around the world or take art history or learn about the historical traditions of different cultures. It's always been there. There's been times for gatherings. There's been time for hermitage, self isolation that was embraced. Not in our society. We think of it as, I'm sacrificing something if I'm not out there all the time, 12 months of the year. So, and it's become even harder, Adrienne, because of the social media, and I get that. The temptation to constantly be on rather than turn off
Yeah.
and embrace this beautiful time where we can rejuvenate ourselves, we can protect our bioenergetic field, which is another full, science class. But I just want everyone to have this image. You are a bioenergetic being and you need to fill up. You need to fill your cup. And so
Yes.
winter has traditionally been seen as a time for self-reflection, staying calm, pressing pause, enjoy the fruits of your labor, actually enjoy the fruits of your labor, maybe go on a little vacation, sit somewhere quiet and reflect and give gratitude and remind yourself how much you love life. When you go to that place, then what starts to happen is you begin to start to open up the heart chamber, the actual heart chakra, and you begin to open up the third eye and the seventh chakra. And when these three are talking to each other and there's a reduction in external energy and you've gone within, these beautiful little energy centers begin to open. They influence the other four, including the self-expression, the throat chakra. This is an actual event that happens within the body. So I would recommend a lot of meditation during this time. And as you begin to meditate and shut off the outside noise and can go deeper within, what happens is you begin to start to stir the second chakra, which is the creative energy flow chakra. Your heart's open, your mind and your imagination begins to open up, and the creative juices start to flow. So a lot of artists will talk about how it is in the moments of silence that beauty is created. So we have thoughts and ideas that come to us throughout the year, but oftentimes we don't synthesize, we don't conclude, we don't finish them. This is an opportunity. December. I love December. I'm already anticipating it because I've done this for so many years. I'm kind of pushing the boundaries, you might say. I'm like, come on, December. I'm ready for you now. So the creative juices for me.
I love it.
Yeah, they're flowing like
Yes.
the river right now for a lot of people. Because I think we're also, because of the actual, social situation that we have, there's more opportunity to be alone and embrace it. So I suggest here, embrace it, love it, but create the environment. You want to make sure your home is happy, that your home is how you want it to look. You want your home to be sacred, to rise up to greet you, to be everything that it needs to be to inspire you. Even if it means go out and buy yourself a big bouquet of flowers and stick that in your office and do some meditation in your living room, put on the fire, get some gorgeous music on, cup of tea, and allow yourself to start dreaming again. I feel a lot of people have put their dreams on hold. I know they have. This is not the time to do that. It's the opposite. This is a time to stand up and challenge what's you're being challenged with, or I should say, succumb to what you've been challenged to. Embrace it. It's an incredible opportunity. And that's how we have to reverse this thinking. It's an opportunity to create what's coming. And that is, there's a door that is going to open one day. Maybe it's the spring. We don't know. There's no predictability, except that things are going to change. That door is going to open. And there's going to be so many people who've created so much beauty out there. And I can't wait to hear all the new music that's going to come out as a result of this.
That's going to be incredible.
It is going to be incredible. And that doesn't mean to exclude you. We should all be in that vibe. It's empowering. And so what I do is I take a trip around the wheel, and I'm going to share that with your listeners right now. So the Wheel of Dreams, for me, it includes 12 aspects of my life that I've categorized that I like to go and dream about. So I will share them now, and I'll just talk slowly, but they can rewind this, I'm sure, and hear it again. And maybe you can make, I don't know if you have a place to put notes, but
Yep, there's a place to put notes. So they'll have everything they need. So just, yeah, go at your own pace and we'll get them caught up.
okay. So, and this is not in order of priority. I'm just going to read them. Health and self-care, spirituality, my relations, financial well-being, continued education, my purpose, path, and career. And this can include retirement, depending on where you're at in your life. So purpose, path, career, travel and adventure, community, sacred home, play, giving back, and planet Earth. So again, this has changed over the 15 years, but not by much. Sacred home, that came new a few years ago. And then retirement, because I'm sort of thinking about slowing down just a little bit. So that's coming into my wheelhouse now.
I'm
literally.
chuckling a little bit.
Why? Yeah,
As I don't think you're slowing down, but
no, when Adrian and I had a conversation before the call, and yeah, she knows.
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah. And that's why travel and adventure is very important.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you can use all of those or change them up. But the point is, if I didn't have these down and sitting on my fridge or looking at them on my calendar, I'm not saying me now today, but I'm saying, say, 10 years ago, I bet you I probably would only have manifested 2 or 3 of those things in a single year. That's what's changed for me. I am manifesting all of these things in my life for the last 10 years, mainly. So what it's done is it's made my relationships better because I am living intentionally to make all of these things in my life whole and happy and part of my life with intention. And so we know what we imagine is what we create into our life. What we think about is what we create. Where our mind goes is what comes to us. So if you're mindless, if you're living an accidental life every day, you will have accidents of all kinds. Yes, some might be good, but I will guarantee most will not be what you're looking for or have imagined your life when you were younger. Imagining and then getting up every day, remind yourself what you've imagined, what you've dreamed, what you want, what you're passionate about, what you need to go for today, brings these things into your life. And Adrian, you're the last one I need to tell that. You have created a whole universe around intentional living because you put your mind to something, it manifests.
Yes, but I have to say, like, as you're talking, I was like, when I first saw that wheel, or I mean, intentional living was new to me, just like how you described this process. Like, I absolutely had to learn it just by putting one foot in front of the other and choosing. And when you introduced me to this wheel, like, I think before I was thinking, business, personal, not okay. It could be actually like I could manifest my relationships, my home, the good work I want to do, how I actually want to spend my time, play, and give them equal attention because they all feed each other. That was a very big aha moment for me.
Yes. And on that note, the holistic model, that's what we're talking about. And holistic
Yes.
teachers will say, you can't just spend 50% of your thinking on fitness. You have to think food, breath, rest, sleep, hanging out with great people who feed your energy. Holistic thinking, holistic thinkers put equal time into all aspects of self, the 4 bodies of self, even the heart. I mean, just think, how many times do we really talk about, doing something for the heart? No, we talk about mostly, let's do something for our physical body. Okay, I'm going to go join a gym. And let's do something for my nutritional body. Okay, let's go see a nutritionist and get on this diet. We don't say, I need to do something for my heart. Like, I need to do something that's just going to make my heart sing.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
we don't feed our heart. So you and I both have been to this women's festival that we used to do here. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it. Hopefully it'll come back one day. But
It
I
will.
cannot tell you that festival would fill my heart for months. Planning it, being with these women, and then the lingering effects of it all, it fed my heart and made me happy. And
Same. It was remarkable.
yeah, and there's many, many, many things that I'm sure your listeners now can reflect and go, yeah, that's why I travel. I travel to feed my heart. I call a friend to feed my heart, but we don't really make it a thing, like sleep. And it should be. We should be doing something every single day, all day long, that you love. And as a result of that, your heart remains open. And what happens when your heart remains open? I'm telling you, this is the biggest secret that everybody needs to really understand. That's when creative juices flow. That's when dreams go from good to greatness.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that's how the festival, it was created out of an open heart. And I'll never forget the moment. And I've created so many things that are so great. They're just in the level of greatness because the heart of where I was at the moment. Something happened in the moment, opened my heart up, and then it triggered the downloading of vision. And in those moments, for some of you who may not be familiar with this language, but there's a communion that happens. And I truly know this to be true. A communion happens in those moments between yourself and the heavens. And call it what you will, God, goddesses, your guardian angels, your whoever's looking over you. That what I want to say is, I know in that moment it's not just me. That something has heard me, has heard this desire, this joyful exaltation of loving life, and something then says, "Oh, I hear ya. How about this?" And down comes a little drop of magic that explodes in my brain. And next thing you know, I see this vision of 250 women at a festival,
Yeah.
and the whole feeling of what goes around that festival. And then, of course, what comes out of it is all the logistics. And that's when the stress starts. But anyway.
Yeah, and things come in to support you, right? You
Right.
think you can't do something. I just know different projects I've had. I was like, how is I going to do this? Or how am I going to do this? My friend's like, well, what about, you just start asking for support and it comes.
Yeah.
So with the wheel, if you want to just guide people, like maybe a few things of that, before that New Year's Eve ceremony, like as they're looking at it, I think they've gotten a
Yeah.
sense from our conversation, but specifically are they thinking about?
So you want to make room in your life during the month of December. Maybe it's 15 minutes. You go for a walk in nature, whatever it is that can help you to open up your heart. What you don't want to do is come home, feel stressed from work, and then try to do this. You need to listen to music, put on your earbuds, go for a walk, and just think love. You've got to be in the space of love. And then start to ask this one question. I'd like you to write this question down. Whenever you're looking at your wheel, I call them the baskets, right? The baskets of fruition, your health and self-care, your spirituality, your relations, etc. These are my agricultural baskets. You ask yourself this: tonight, I want to think about my self-care. You need to be in that space of love. And the question is, so what else is possible? It is the most powerful question I've ever I mean, it's just so powerful. It sounds so simple and so fundamental, but what it does is when you're in that heart space and you ask that question, oh my gosh, the floodgates open. And you need to have that pen and paper, your manifesting journal right beside you, and you must just start quickly writing everything that's coming to you. Don't judge it. Don't say how stupid, what an idea, crazy idea, you can't afford it, you can't do. Don't even go there. Just write freely. You want to be free to write whatever is coming to you. So, about from the full moon until Christmas, I'm in this process. By the solstice to Christmas, for sure, you really want to be honing in on your final 12. So I'm going to keep using the word 12 because that's what I'm working with. Your final 12 top priority dreams that you would like to manifest for 2021. And you finalize those in a statement form so that you can do your beautiful ceremony on New Year's Eve. And it's going to look like, I am so grateful that I opened up my dream flower boutique. And you feel it, you want to really feel that this is true. This is something that you want to do in 2021 or take that trip. So you want to say, as if it's already happened, you want to write those statements. I'd like you to have this done by Christmas because by Christmas and New Year's, you really want to be with family. You want to be celebrating. You want to enjoy. Yes, you can continue the process if you have to, but I want you to be fairly resolved by Christmas on what you're creating. So you're not doing any planning at this point. You're waiting for Christmas Eve. So Adrienne knows my tradition, I've shared many, many times over the years, is to take half an hour. Usually for me, it's around 6 o'clock. It's nice and dark outside. I light 3 candles and it's a ceremonial moment, nice and quiet. And I speak my 12 commitments to self. And like I said, it only takes about 30 minutes, but what you're putting into it counts. So open heart, open mind, close my eyes. I'm seeing the vision of this beautiful flower boutique that's opened on the street. I'm seeing in full color, full flesh and blood, alive, and you are walking through it. You make it as real as you possibly can. And you speak your vision, you feel it, and you see it all at once. And again, it's the chakras all working together as triplets, as one. And so when you're complete, you can blow out your candles and, go celebrate, be with friends, enjoy a glass of champagne. You're done. Let it go. So we'll move quickly through the next 10 months.
The next 10 months.
Yes. But that was the meat of it all, right?
No, absolutely. And it's really, yes, the mindset and everything else is further creating it.
Exactly. So I hope you got that written down. So December, the month of December is about vision. And when we get to January, so January is about planning. Okay, so you want to write that down. January planning. So the planner, somewhere around the second week of January, because you don't want to start the first week, there'll be so many activities happening, usually for most people, but I always say, hey, this is when the new story begins. It's a time for deliberation, co-create, find the people that you need to connect with in order to make one of those visions happen. It's a healthcare thing. You're going to make your phone calls. It's a trip. You're going to put down a deposit. You start planning. What's it going to take for you to invest your time and energy and money, whatever it takes, into these 12 manifesting oaths? And you can keep going for the whole month of January and even February. February, I call it the preparer. So you're sort of now making some final decisions on Yeah, exactly where you're going to go, what hotel you're going to choose, how long is the trip. You are into preparation. By December, what you want to do is understand that this is the month that you must plant those first seeds. So you've got 2 months really to prepare a vision for the plan of how you're going to implement and get these things created. And the planter is, you really got to be convicted when you put that deposit down, right? So it's about conviction, March. Planting the seeds, you want this to happen no later than the spring equinox. I call spring equinox launch day traditionally for 15 years. Most of my planning, I am launched by March 21st, 22nd. It's an intention. And that's what I love about living, the intentional living idea is it suits so well with the calendar. The calendar gives you actual milestones that you want to live up to. So getting a calendar, buying yourself, and they're out right now, beautiful calendars are out. Pick yourself up something really gorgeous that you can actually write on as well. There's room to write on. April, we call this the month of the guardian. So you're holding steadfast, you want to be reliable, you want to nurture your dreams, you don't want to give up, you want to pay attention to what you've planted. You certainly can keep dreaming, because what happens is when you start creating, like Adrian said, like be ready, because people will come into your life that are there to support your dream and your vision. And they may even add some little surprises that make sure.
Or big ones.
Yeah, good ones that add to the dream and make them even better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the dream gets bigger.
Yes.
May I call this the connector? So this is really now about nurturing your collaborations. Your vision is growing. It's inclusive. It's bringing, like we said, new people into your fields. You definitely want to tend to your fields. And this is, you have to, again, see it like a field of dreams that you're going to fertilize, you're going to prune, you're going to transplant, you're going to switch up a little bit because it's getting better. The vision is becoming even more clear. And then June, we call this celebrator. So as we go around the 4 seasons, the medicine wheel, we've gone through spring. So spring is all about mental energy. A lot of mental energy is spent in the spring. As we move into June, we're of course now in the summer solstice is the marking day. We call it the celebrator. You should be seeing the results of your labor starting to pop. Your seeds are starting to pop. So we are in the first harvest of your manifesting. It's a time to really see and give yourself time to celebrate that you are this incredible manifester. Again, it's time to stop every once in a while and reflect and recognize, wow, like something's happening here. Things are actually working and things are coming into my life in an abundant way. That it's no coincidence that things are moving towards you. It's because you're being recognized. You're magnetic. Your magneticism is being felt by everyone around you. And so those who are feeling in alignment with your magnetic field, they're going to come closer and closer into your field and start to ask you, hey, how do I get involved? How can I help you? You'll be very surprised how much help comes around you to see your vision through as well. July, I just call this the wayfarer. So because I like to have some time in the summer, and it really is, if we got into a little bit more about the energy, yes, this is a time for physical energy, less on the spiritual and mental. You've let go of the mental work, and now it's It's physical, it's labor intensive, but there has to be a moment where you just give it all and then it's done. You are
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
You have to
Yes.
trust that. And you have to look to see, oh my gosh, like my fields are growing. They're no longer little sprouts. They're actually growing into full-fledged corn, stalks. And you can see this so symbolically in so many things, from relationships to travel to, educational courses you've taken, you've graduated. You'll just start to see, wow, this is really coming into fruition. Um, and you must take time to continue to celebrate and express your joy for life and love for life. And July is seen as that time. It's a time for your physical energy. Most of us are feeling at our absolute best in the summertime. We're the most fit. We've lost the winter weight. We're getting vegetables and fruits that are been picked yesterday from the farmer's market. You're eating alive
Yeah,
food.
nice long days.
Yeah, so you've got such more profound amount of energy to spend. And so what are we doing? We're out there hiking and walking and biking, and we have a lot of energy to express ourselves and just have fun and play, which is on my wheel, by the way. I think I mentioned it's one of the 12.
Yes, you did.
Gotta have it. August, I call this the restful, because I know September's around the corner. And I know what that
Yes.
means. September is actually, let's just skip it for a second, but September is the second and final harvest. So going back to August, you have to, and I find the energy of August, and if you pay attention, it actually does induce a more restful. It's very different from July,
Agreed.
right?
Yes.
There's a shift in the light, and we always see it. August 1st, it's like something's changed. The light, don't forget, the days are definitely getting shorter. We're having campfires down by the lake. Things are just different than they were in July. And it's quite significant, I find, the energy from July to August. There's a massive shift. And so I see this as a restful time. It's time to fill my cup. I go on vacation. I'm traditionally always for 2 weeks in August. I see this very sacred, self-sacred time. And it's time to just rest and enjoy, and don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself that time to rest, because come September, it's the month of the harvester. So it's here you're reaping what you sow, right? And you're providing for your family. You're completing. You've got that reciprocity going on. We want to exchange. We want to give things as well. The autumn equinox is very beautiful time that's being spent in ceremony around the world. It's recognized as a beautiful time for giving thanks. We're moving into Thanksgiving. Of course, October is the month of gratitude, the grateful. It's about oneness, being open. Self-care, very, very important. This is a time for being with friends and families, and being sure to tell people how much you love them. And of course, we're all starting to gather around again as we move into the autumn and winter months. The days are much shorter, nights are getting longer, and it's time for us to begin to embrace the spiritual aspect of self again. And so we've just taken a trip around the 12 months on the wheel, and we start all over again with November, accountability.
I love that gratitude comes right before accountability.
Yes, exactly. And once you start to practice this for a couple years, it will become intuitive, as it has for me. You'll just know, oh, wow, why am I feeling this way? Oh, yeah, we've shifted into this. The light, I'll tell you, the secret is the light. The light is probably the most influential. People do think it's the weather, but it's actually the light. Yes, we're affected by temperature and humidity and all of that, but light is the first thing that affects the electromagnetic energy of the body. And so as the light withdraws, or I should say, technically it's our planet shifting, away, so our days are becoming shorter, the light changes. And the light that hits the optic nerve, and then it has a whole effect on our biology and our psychology. That's what's really happening. And yeah, there's all the other changes of the weather that people like or dislike. That's going to live in you, or it's going to make you want to stay inside and crawl under the covers. So I've always embraced all of the seasons, and I never knew why. I loved all of them. People would say, "Which one do you love the most?" I would always usually say winter. I still feel it's probably up there as my number one season. It's because now I recognize later in life as an adult, it's because I always felt my most inner self. And
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. Um, I liked the feeling of being one with myself. And I liked self reflection. And so it would also then make me love spring, right? Look forward to spring. I love that transition too. So I'm now of the mindset that I love all four seasons because each one of them brings this beautiful gift and change in our life. And most of all, this system has helped me to understand how these energies and live in the four bodies, engage the four bodies at certain times of the year that catapult the well being of your whole self over an entire year.
I absolutely love it. I'm obviously like yeah, this just changes my life every day and is a practice that's hugely ingrained with me. And I just think for anybody listening, and I want you to speak to this in a sec, but
Mhm.
it's particularly important right now. I've gotten so many questions about, how do I find joy or be intentional or create or dream when there's so much chaos in the world. The chaos is distracting, the chaos is something people want to numb out. So now is the time to really, really have a practice like this, even if it starts in the most simple way. And I'm just curious what you would say about this and the chaos.
So I would not live without that advice. The advice to have a practice is the best advice. You have to find your practice. You have to find the thing that is your thing that makes you feel happy, good, calm. And I think that is an essential. So, my mantra is calm. Adrian knows that.
Hmm.
It's been for years and years and years. Anytime I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm about to panic or I feel anxious, I just close my eyes and I literally say, stay calm, 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 calm. And I take a breath, and breath is a medicine, unbelievable medicine that helps us intuitively, naturally. We say it to children, take a breath, calm down. It's an intuitive thing and it's within us and it's free. And you can do it instantly. And it actually has shown it does calm down the nervous system very, very quickly. So, yes, there's a lot of chaos, but there's only chaos when you're looking at it. I
Agreed.
can't say enough, like, stop looking at the chaos. What's it going to do? You already know what exists out there. Yes, it's going to be up and down, it's going to be fluctuating. You have to try not to go with the ups and downs. You want to stay in a neutral, calm path as someone who is very aware of what's going out there without having to look at every single minute of the day. Be wary of the scrolling. So I'm not on social media. I'm probably on maybe once every 2 weeks. I know that's not a good thing when you're in business, but I am just trusting. I'm just trusting this is what's right for me. I want to be surrounded by calm, I have to be surrounded by calm, especially as I'm getting older. I need it more and more in my life. I buy myself flowers. I have got my beautiful meditation music on a lot. I don't listen to news in the car radio. Never, never, ever. I still get up and I get showered and I dress beautifully and do my hair and my makeup every single day, just about, even if I'm not going outside to see anybody. I think that is really important, Adrienne. You have to
I
feel
agree.
good. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
feeling good, I don't want to feel sloppy all the time, even though I don't have to go anywhere. I want to feel elegant and beautiful and flowy and free and clean and happy. I like when I'm dressed.
Yeah, I agree with you. It changes like your mindset, your energy, everything.
Totally. And when I go grocery shopping, I see people walk in their pajamas. I'm like, what? Oh,
I
cool.
know.
You look really sad too. You're in your pajamas and you look really sad. Look,
Yeah.
anyway, that's what we see in our town. And I'm sad for that. I am. I know there's just things you have to do. Practices are valuable. So you got to find the practice that makes you feel optimal. And that's the prime directive is happiness. Let's face it, it is.
Yes.
So do what you need to do to be happy every day. Wake up with it. I'm not saying there's not challenges. I have them too. But when I wake up in the morning, oh my gosh, I make sure I do my gratitude prayers every morning for what's occurred, maybe the day before, and then I hit on, straight on, head on. I look at the things that are going to challenge me today, and I immediately go, okay, this is how I'm going to handle this. And the outcome, I always see the outcome in my mind as this: the ending is going to serve everybody involved. It's not me that it's going to serve. It's me and everybody.
I love that.
Um,
I kind of frame it to myself differently, but I really
yeah.
love that wording.
And so the solution comes.
Mhm.
So, and one of my management styles is something that I learned from all of this is to be direct but be kind. That's all. And I'll tell you, my the way I managed just became easier with that simple realization: be direct, be kind, be truthful, be kind.
It's
That's
that
it.
simple.
Yeah. Don't create chaos. So you don't want chaos. Don't create it, and don't look for it. Don't dive into it. Don't interfere with it. Let people, sometimes you just need to let the tide settle. There's nothing you can do to stop the tide. And, I see that a lot in people. I see people as tides. If they're choosing to be this way, it's more than likely, if they're not in your inner circle, they're not going to, in your inner circle, they're not going to listen to you. Don't have those arguments on social media. Don't fight the tide.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, because I coach a lot of people, they talk a lot about how upsetting it is to be on Facebook and see what's being said, and they get involved in arguments. And I just say, you know what? Light attracts light, dark attracts dark. So you just have to decide what you want to be attracted to. So one of the advices that someone said on another call that I had in April on the Zoom calls was, she decided any negativity, she's just defriending people
Yeah.
because she doesn't want
So a
to.
lot of
Yep.
people have said that this year. Lots of
Yeah.
blocking, lots
Yeah.
of not scrolling.
Yeah. Just do whatever it takes to eliminate chaos in your life that you haven't created, and don't recreate it. Don't keep passing it on.
Absolutely.
Just they're simple. They're such simple things. Like I notice when I turn off the news for 3 or 4 days, everything's good. I'm in la la
Yeah.
land.
You'll know what you need to know.
Yeah, I've got everything I need to. I know what's out there. I know there's
Yeah.
a voice out there. I'm not putting my head in the sand, but I don't need to hear about absolutely every single move. I'll get notified if it's something that's going to affect me in my business, but I am not going to live my life in fear and chaos. I don't create fear and I don't create chaos. And I think that's a big question people have to ask themselves. A lot of people defer and say it's out there, but oftentimes the source is the individual who's complaining about it.
And feeding it, right? Like then we're feeding the whole cycle.
Yeah.
Madeleine, I just want to thank you so much because
you're so welcome.
Well, as everybody already knows, I just think this.
This is kind of my thing, and I love, and you happen to ask me, and it's the right time of the year, in spite of what's happening around us. Like you said at the beginning, is probably more important than ever to go down this road now, to choose wisely, as the Holy Grail movie said. Choose wisely. Don't stop dreaming.
We will leave it there. That's the perfect ending. Choose wisely.
Keep dreaming.
Madeleine, thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrienne. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. May some of the wisdom shared here inspire your most intentional living. For more information about this episode, this podcast, intentional living, and my work in the world, please visit mayyouknowjoy.com. You can also find my May You Know Joy and Seeds of Intention cards there, and my book, Intentional Days. You'll also find details for the Intentional Days membership, where you can gain access to a thriving community of intentional souls and lots of regular inspiration. I've got you covered. Until next time, I wish you great joy and many intentional days.